There are lots of opportunities. There are opportunities in the world of manufacturing. You can go work in a manufacturing company. In fact, my personal suggestion would be that people should first go work in a manufacturing company because the systems, the processes, the procedures there are outstanding. Today, there are opportunities to be a global accountant. Okay, there is the talk about IFRS capturing center stage. There is also already talk happening about a change to financial reporting structure, which might take some years to happen, but it will happen. Global accounting has become a very, very significant area for people to be in. There are lots of opportunities in the world of audit. There is the statutory audit that you already know of, what people abroad essentially call external audit. There is also the internal audit. That's the place where lots of people are today beginning to work. And more importantly, the emerging area is forensic audit. You all know that when you go for a statutory audit, with what mindset do you go when you do a statutory audit? Do you go to a statutory audit thinking that, yes, there is a fraud there? No. But when you go to a forensic audit, you go keeping in mind very clearly that the fraud is happening there. Okay? And my own sense is that given the kind of accounting scandals that have happened in the last few years, it will not be very long before the government of India mandates that there shall be forensic audit for every company of a certain size or forensic audit for all listed companies. Once that happens, the opportunities in forensic audit is going to open up in a very big way. And there can be no one better than a CA, or at least one of the most important guys to work in forensic audit would be CA. There are also enormous opportunities that are coming the way of tax, with lots of foreign institutional investments taking place, with lots of foreign direct investments taking place, with lots of people outside India wanting to invest in India, with lots of people earning significant amounts of money in business and in industry. Tax advisory has become another significant opportunity for you. Media, people can go work in the world of media. There are any number of chartered accountants today who work in television, who work in newspapers. So if writing is something that gives you a lot of pleasure, you can go work in the media. There is also the opportunity to work in corporate finance. That would include working in private equity firms. Private equity firms are firms which invest in other companies. Indeed, people, individuals or organizations with deep pockets who have lots of money, they go invest in other companies and then pull out at the appropriate time. Private equity is a key area where somebody like you can work. There is also wealth management. As an entire army of young boys and girls today begin to earn lots and lots of money, especially in the IT space and in many other space, there is going to be a significant requirement for CAs or for people of any profession who can act as good financial planners or wealth managers. And if you have the right kind of aptitude and skill towards that, you can act as a good financial planner. There is also the opportunity to work in corporate treasury. Those are areas relating to international finance. There are also areas relating to managing money in a company, being able to advise a company on where to put their short-term monies, where to put their long-term monies. You can also be a consultant. You can work in some of the big, well-known outfits like the Boston Consulting Group or the BCG as it is called. You could also have opportunities to work in McKinsey and company. You would, of course, have also the chance to work in business process outsourcing units. Today, there is N number of BPOs that are up in our country. One step ahead of BPO, one step higher in the value chain would be the KPO, knowledge process outsourcing. Today, there are multiple knowledge process outsourcing organizations in India. I'll just give you one example. For example, there is, let us say, an analyst who sits in Wall Street. He works, let's say, for a global bank, and his job is to make investments in the equity market in the US. Obviously, he does not have the time. He does not have the resource, that means the people, to do the background analysis that is required to be done. And also recruiting background analyst people abroad can be pretty expensive. They don't come cheap. That kind of work gets outsourced to India. And in India, sitting here in India, you could act as the person who supports the analyst. This kind of knowledge process outsourcing work is not just restricted to equity market. Lots of knowledge process outsourcing work are also happening in the world of journalism, where articles or editing or whatever related to that happen in India. They are documented and sent out of India, and the whole process takes place abroad, which therefore means that there is enormous opportunity for you to work along with some of the best brains of the world. Risk management is another area. Insurance is a very important segment. Risk management is not just about insurance. Risk management is also about assessing, understanding what is the risk inbuilt in an organization. A CA need not necessarily perforce work only in accounting. A CA does not necessarily have to do only accounting work. If accounting is your heart and soul, that is good. But if it is not something that you are very passionate about, there is a whole range of areas to pick up from. If you want to work in any of these many areas, then you will have to also equip yourself accordingly. I would be the last person to say that a course like the Chartered Accountancy course is unimportant. I would be the last person to say. But tomorrow when you are going to compete in the world outside. And in the world outside, people are going to be comfortable with qualifications with which they are more conversant with. Like, for example, in India, after you qualify as a CA, let's say you're running an organization and you have a choice between two people. One who has done a CA in India, one who has done a CA in England. I'm sure many of us would like to pick up the guy who has done CA in India because we know how tough the CA exam is. In almost much the same way, internationally, people will be more comfortable selecting people with the qualification with which they are conversant with. So if your heart and soul is in the world of accounting, if you like accounting, if you like financial reporting, my view is that you should do an ACCA or you should do a CPA. If your heart is not in the world of accounting, but if your heart is in the world of finance, capital market, wealth management, private equity, then you could possibly look at doing a course like the Chartered Financial Analyst, the CFA course that comes from the CFA University in USA. Or you could possibly look at doing CFP, which is Certified Financial Planning. If your heart is in the world of management accounting, if you're someone who thinks that the idea of telling an organization how to price, the idea of telling an organization what to produce, when to produce, how much to produce, what product mix is good, if you think that is where your heart lies in, then maybe you should look at doing a CMA course, which is Certified Management Accounting. It's a course from the United States of America. Or you could plan to do a CIMA, Chartered Institute of Management Accountants from London. If you think, no, I want to be the big daddy of auditing, if you want to be one of those guys who does forensic audit, etc., or even in regular auditing, for instance, I think you should equip yourself with a CISA qualification, or you should equip yourself with a Certified Internal Audit qualification. And if you think forensic accounting is your main thing, if you think, oh yeah, I must do forensic accounting, then that one up there, CFE, Certified Fraud Examiner, is a very relevant course. While I did tell you that if you want to do accounting, if you want to do management accounting, specialize in management accounting, or if your heart is in corporate finance, or if you love audit, these are the international courses that you should do. If you ask me personally, I would think that if that is possible, you should do the one that is right on the top. Post your CA, if you can go and do an MBA at India's best business schools, could be the Indian Institute of Management, could be the Indian School of Business, ISB, that would add the real icing to your career. Because that is where I think you will really begin to understand what is competition. Because that is where you will actually battle it out with the best and brightest brains in the country. You will have to forgive me for saying this, but I have always held the view, I could be wrong, that post class 10, some of the best and brightest boys and girls have invariably chosen to go to engineering or to medicine. And when I talk about engineering or medicine, I'm not talking about those who go and join some of those many engineering colleges. I'm talking only about the Indian Institute of Technology. Now, when you go to IIM and you are battling with some of those best brains, not that your brain is any the less, I don't think one would finish a CA unless he is reasonably good academically and unless he has put in tons and tons of work. But there is always a great challenge. There is always a great excitement when you go and fight or compete with the best brains in the world. And I think the MBA acts as a perfect finishing school for a CA. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not telling you must read 2 plus 2, 4 plus 2, 6 plus 2, 8 plus 2, 10. No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying whatever is your current area of interest, you can do that. And I've already told you that right through your career, you need to study. What I'm trying to say is that at any point in your career, when you find that there are some courses that are going to come up, some certifications that are mandatory, because no, in the area in which you work, these certifications have come up, I think you need to do those courses for 2 reasons. One, and the most important, is to satisfy yourself. Suppose that 7 years from today, you find that you're working in the mutual fund industry, then I think if there is a mutual fund industry exam that is being conducted of some quality or of some caliber, then you need to take that exam. So as you progress in your career, you will find that there are lots and lots of learning opportunities that are going to come up. Those learning opportunities have to be seized with your 2 hands, because whether you like it or whether you don't like it, the 21st century is clearly and very definitively the century of what? The century of knowledge. The 1970s was called the age of science. The 1980s was called the age of technology. The 1990s became the age of information. And the 21st century is going to be the age of knowledge. In the age of knowledge, you need to constantly upgrade yourself, because if you don't upgrade yourself, you will become, like what I said earlier, a museum piece.